Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I am filming my monthly wrap-up for the month of January, my first wrap-up for 2020, my last wrap-up being filmed here in Japan, because in March when I will be filming my January wrap-up I will be at home in Norway again, so it's kind of sad and weird, but hello, here we are. The books I read from January, my friend Justine chose out for me and she chose them all in the video up on my channel. My friend across the world chooses my TBR. I ended up reading 20 books in January, which is a good number. Alas, I do need to read 25 every month to be able to reach 300, which is my goal for 2020. But I will catch it up later on some points, I hope. I have to, actually. It's not I hope in that sentence. Let's just get started because I already know we're gonna be here forever and I wanna cry. First book I finished in January, my friend Justine actually didn't choose because this was Every Had a Doorway by Seanan and McGuire. This one I just listened to audiobook in like one day with my best friend. We needed to clean or something to check how much stuff we could put in the suitcase before we go home. And this was on audiobook. This is like 4 hours long. And this is a reread because I have read it before and it's also one of my all-time favorite books. And it's the first time I have reread it since the first time reading it. And I still love it so much. It is a portal fantasy following the kids coming back from the portals, and they go to this Eleanor's home for these kind of kids where like she helps them to deal with the fact that they're back in the normal world when a lot of them, most of them, wants to go back to the worlds that they fell into. And it's a lot about, you know, the different magical worlds and all these different kids and like how to deal with this. And then also people at the home starts to get murdered, so that is also a murder mystery in the first book at least. I have read the next few books and they are about other things, but it's just one of my all-time favorite series. It's just so original, short but so impactful in the amount of pages you get, and the writing is absolutely amazing. In the first book we also have trans representation and asexual representation, and I just love this book so much. It was a lot of fun to listen to the audiobook, and I need to finish the series because I have only read the 3 first books, but I need to get to the rest because they are really amazing, all of them, and I enjoyed them all so much. The next book I read was The Gravity of Us by Fiat Stamper. This was an arc that I got from my fan Justine, which also chose my TBR. She did choose this, but also I kind of had to read it in January because this was being released on the 4th of February, so it's now released already. And a review of this is also up on my channel and I will leave a link to that down below. This one follows Carl, and his father is chosen out to be an astronaut on this project where us humans, they're going to go to Mars, and because of this he has to move down to Houston with the other astronaut families. And there's also this TV show filming their everyday life and like being really invasive and trying to create drama for views. And he also has his own, I was gonna say YouTube channel, but it's not. It's like in this app that he updates, kind of similar to Instagram, I guess. And he has just done like news thing on that for years, I believe. And he's kind of like internet famous through this. Like we get the whole idea of like reality TV versus like actual reality TV, and like there's a whole thing about that, and of course with astronauts and space. He also meets Leon, who is one of the other astronaut kids there, and they get a thing together and it's very cute between them. So there's lots of things going on and it is very cute and nice. Contemporary, I really enjoyed it. It was one of my most anticipated releases since I heard about it, and I just love all the space parts and Carl as a character. It was fun, and I talk more about it in my full review. I then read The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This was also a reread and on audiobook. When I finished The Song of Achilles the first time, I wanted to reread it instantly, but I didn't do that. I did wait for a while until now. I just have had the audiobook for like a really long time because I purchased it because I knew I wanted to reread it on audiobook one day, and alas I did, and it is everything. This one is a retelling of the Odyssey with like Achilles, who I didn't know the story of before, but instead of following the point of view of Achilles, who was half god, this great warrior, the Trojan War, which we also follow, we follow Patroclus, who is Achilles' companion slash lover, and like we just see Achilles through his eyes and they're still together instead of, I think we normally you would have followed Achilles. I don't even know because I'm not that familiar with it all. It's a love story and a war story, and it just has Greek gods in it, and I love the story so much. The writing is beautiful. this ending just gets to me, and I knew how it's gonna end, but I was just so sad and heartbroken. It is an amazing retelling, and it's just an amazing book, and I want to reread it again, and it's one of my all-time favorites again. So I reread my all-time faves apparently a lot this month, which is always great, because going back to your favorites always reminds me of how much I actually love reading. Not that I'm not reminded every day, but it reminds me even more. And then read The Raven Boys by Maggie Seawater. I don't know why I said her name like that. This one is the first book in the Raven Boys cycle. I have had this for forever. I have it on my Kindle here, but I have like the whole series at home. I heard about the Raven Boys for like years through BookTube and Twitter, and like it's a very popular series. So this one follows Blue. She has always known that when she kisses her true love will die, but she doesn't know obviously who her true love is, and then she starts hanging out with these Raven Boys, and they are called Raven Boys because they go to this very exclusive school for rich kids, and they have this raven emblem, what's it called? Weapon shield, whatever, I don't know the word for it right now, of a raven. So that's why they're Raven Boys. There is 4 of them. We have Noah, Adam, Ronan, and Yancy. She kinda, I don't know if she's supposed to have a thing with all of them. I am so confused. But the book is very strange because Yancy, who is like super rich, is trying to find proof, or he's trying to find this Raven King, because when you find a Raven King you will get one wish fulfilled, and like they go out to try to find this. And Blue, who has grown up in a house full of psychics, she's like familiar with like the magical ley lines, and they just interact and they become friends, I guess. Potentially more for the future. There's also these visions of the future and like who will potentially die and etc. And I'm just like, fine. It's a very strange book. Like I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. Like I read The Scorpio Races last year from Maggie Seawater as well, and what even happened to the light right now. Like I enjoyed it, but I can definitely see like she writes weird things, but like that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a really weird book. It has this really weird atmosphere, but I enjoy the atmosphere because she creates it and she sticks to it, and it's good. But like at the same time, I just felt like nothing happened, and I don't even like love any of the Raven Boys, which I sort of feel like is the point. I don't really care about Blue either. She was just kind of there. So I just feel like very neutral to all the characters, and I'm curious to see what will happen if or when they actually find a Raven King. The 4th book in the series is called The Raven King, so I don't know how much that gives away. So yeah, I'm curious to see how it will all go, and like I won't not finish the series, but like I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. So I gave it like 3 stars because I'm like in the middle, and I will read the rest to see where it will take me. Maybe I will love it to death, or maybe I will just be like meh the whole way, but we will see. And that's my general feelings about that book. I then read Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. This is the first book in the Live Ship Trader series. This is the 2nd series in the realm of the Elder Rings world, which Robin Hobb created. The Farseer trilogy is the first one. The Live Ship Trader trilogy is the 2nd one, and this is the first one in the 2nd series. Oh my god. I finished the Farseer trilogy in 2019 and I absolutely loved it. Like, it's one of my favorite series, and I was so excited to continue it. I can't believe that Justine actually chose this book. It's like 980 pages long. She gave me so many like books over 500 pages, and I was just like, girl, it's not weird that I didn't read 25 in January. I loved it, okay? Like, just thinking about it, I loved it, but it was very, very slow paced. So we follow Athea. She's from one of the old trader families in this town. They have a live ship, and a live ship needs a few generations before it actually wakes up as an actually live ship, and this is going to happen now very soon. But she is kind of banned from her ship because of her brother-in-law is an asshole, and then she is trying to get back her ship. She's, I feel like, the main character, but we do also follow other other characters like Wintro, who is her nephew, and he's being forced on the ship by his father because they need someone of the bloodline on the ship for the live ship to be content, I guess. But he had been promised into priesthood, and he is forced into this life as a sailor, and he's not happy about it. We also follow this pirate named Kenneth, who wants to be the pirate king and control all the pirates under one regime instead of like going around and just like wasting all the money, which they do all the time. And we follow also other characters and like the whole family of Thea, and this other ship that has been in like a bay for forever is like called Mad, and people like is scared to sail him because he's mad. So yeah, there's just so many elements, and we are in another town, in another place in the world than from the world in the first trilogy, so we're not in Buckkeep anymore. And I did miss the characters and everything, and this series is also written much more, I was gonna say like direct than the first one. The writing is different. It might also just be because the author, you know, got older and like chose to write in a different style. But I think she does it consciously because like, yeah, it's a different series. I enjoy the writing style actually for series more, but like I really did enjoy this. It's very slow paced, as I said. It's 900 pages and we get to know every single character so deep, and like, yes, of course things happened, but it was more like setting up the board story. And imagine using 900 pages doing that. And I think like the rest of the series, like the second and the third book, both have like 1000 pages each as well. So it's a long ride, but it's just so well set up. Like the writing is just so good, and like, while like I didn't love it to death as the first year trilogy, where I actually didn't start to love it to death until the second book in that trilogy as well, I did enjoy it immensely, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And I just can't wait to continue it because like Robin Hobb is just a master writer, and I just feel like when all the pieces come together it will be so worth it. And like, yes, I enjoyed it so much, but I feel like it will be even more enjoyable later, so can't wait for it. I then read Kingdom of Souls by Rihanna Baron, and this one is the first in a series. I actually don't know how many books it's gonna be, but it follows Ara, who has always wanted magic. Both her parents are really powerful people with magical abilities, but her powers never manifests, and like that's her main issue. But then in her town where she lives, kids starts to disappear, so she also goes out on this kind of investigation to find out what's behind it all. And that's like the worst explanation of the book, but I don't want to spoil it. But I just have to say that I was so surprised of how many things went down in this book. Usually when you have a first book in a series, you kind of step up things, like I said just with Shape of Magic 3 seconds ago, and here like everything went down. I was so shocked of how far this book went. It went beyond my expectations. Like I thought we were gonna use the whole book figuring out what's going on with this kids going missing, and like her potentially finding out like what kind of magic she has, because that's what I expected to happen. But it just went all over. Like at some point I felt like things happening kind of started to unravel a bit, and like I would like to have more explored certain things that was happening because it went a bit too fast. But like, oh my god, like things went down, as I said, and I was just so surprised. And now I kind of like don't know at all what is gonna happen in the second book. Sitting here like, I need a second book now because now I'm so curious, and I think the author did such a good job surprising the reader, me, because like I had all these expectations and like predictions, and they just all flew out of the window. The fantasy world is also inspired by West Africa, and I just loved it. I just loved the world and the magic, and like kind of the different, I don't know if it's actually myths, but like the different gods at least in the book, or different legends that it is based upon. I think just very interesting and so nice to read about, and I just really enjoyed it. I just remembered something that is revealed in the end of this book, and I just had kind of forgotten it, and I'm like, holy shit, this is gonna go down. Okay, I am beyond excited. Very much recommend, and I gave the book 4 out of 5 stars. Oh my god, we're only in book 7, and the next one I read was Unwind by Neal Shusterman, and this one I listened to audiobook, and it's set in this futuristic dystopian world where like you can get a kid before they are a certain age. You can choose to unwind them, and that means you just give them to the government and they will use the body part of your kid to give to others who needs them, organs and stuff. Because there was this whole, I guess, conflict in the past about like abortions and like what true life is, I assume, but we never really get like the proper history of it. And we follow 3 different kids, teens that are on the run because they are under the threat of being unwind. That concept of this is very much fascinating, like the whole concept that you can just give up your kid at any time and just like choose not to have them, pretend they never happened. And it's horrible and horrific, but it's not used and utilized. I feel like the book was just made into this action movie where the kids are on the run and we just see them in different action sequences and just in different kind of situation they needs to get out of to not be unwind. And I feel like it could have just explored the whole unwinding so much more, and I was very disappointed by it, and we don't really know or find out how they even ended up in this society where unwinding is a thing even. So it's kind of disappointing, and I kind of just didn't like it, so I gave it like 2.5 out of 5 stars. Meh. I then read Jade City by Fonda Lee, which was one of my favorite for this month because it was amazing. Justine had been screaming to me to read this for months, by the way, and I finally did. And it was also like super long, like several hundred pages long. Read many long books this month. This one is set on this made-up island called Kekon. On this island they have this thing called Jade that certain people on the island can use to get power, like they get strength and other kind of abilities. And like the whole thing is like who controls the Jade. Follow this family named the Coles, who is one of the leaders in one of the clans, the biggest clan together with this other clan they are at peace with, but have had, I was gonna say, bad blood between them before. And the Coles, they're the top of their clan and we follow them, and they are just disaster kids, highly dysfunctional family, but they are so precious and written so well. Like even the characters I assumed I knew, oh yeah, you're this kind of character. Every character had like different surprising sides, and like the book just kept surprising and just explored its characters so well. Like it's an Asian inspired fantasy and I loved it so much. Like the whole idea of like family and honor and like the different clans and just how the whole society and the city worked, how, as I said, deep the characters were, and just like all the different sides and the politics and like relationships between the clans and the foreign countries, and just everything was so well thought through and written. And I was amazed that the author could balance all this so well. Like it was never unnatural or like you felt there was too much focus on a certain thing. Yeah, it was amazing and heartbreaking because I had a favorite character and I was like, this is my favorite character, and then literally that favorite character just died. I think, I'm not gonna spoil who it was. I'm hoping they will like miraculously come back to life, but I am so offended every time. I'm like, oh my god, this is my favorite character. They die right off, and I am upset. But Justine told me that this book was amazing, and I believed her and I thought I would enjoy it, but I didn't think I would love it to death. So thank you so much, Justine, for making me sad. I then read Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Sapia. This book follows Eliza, who has this online comic that she has been publishing for years, which is like super popular. So popular like that she earns a lot of money on it. Like she has millions of readers, and like no one knows that she is writing these comments because she has her identity anonymous and has been having it for years. And then this new boy starts at her school, and it turns out he is one of the most popular fanfic writers for her comic, and they start to become friends and potentially something more. Eliza also have a form of anxiety, I would say social anxiety, and like doesn't interact that much with people in real life, but starts becoming a bit more out of her shell eventually. And I just assumed that this book was gonna be like, of course her identity would be revealed, at least for this boy, and like they would fight, and yeah, it would be sad. Like that's what you assume will happen when you hear this kind of synopsis. But I didn't think it would like hit me so much in the guts. Like when things went down, it just had so much more element and so much deepness to it than I expected to have. And also like I started really to care for like this fictional comic that is not even real, and now I want it. It's called Monsters C, and I want real Monsters C in my life now, because it was just like an amazing story, because there's a lot of, I would say, not like similarities, but like she was very shy, didn't want to go out in the world and experiencing in real life, I guess. Not just shy, but like had actually anxiety for it. But then she lived and like got out, and I was gonna say take the universe in this comic that she created. So she created this cool, enormous magical world, and I was just like, But like the end just like really got me. I didn't think it was gonna go that deep. I don't know why I didn't think that, but like I just assumed it. It was really good. I gave it 4 stars. It's a very good contemporary, and it's also super randomly, like the first one of 3 books that I read in January, where the book has a fictional, I was gonna say like comic, movie, book series, whatever, where it means everything for the main character. And I read it in like 3 different contemporaries where like they made up a fictional world that meant everything for them and was surrounding fandoms, because this is very fandom centered of like what it means to people, Monsters C and stuff. And I read 2 more books, very similar themes to this. So I don't know, but like they came very close together, so I couldn't stop comparing them. But I would talk about them later in the video, obviously, and I will mention it again, because I thought the coincidence of me reading 3 fandom relating stories with fictional fandomness in it in 1 month was a bit like, whoa, how did this even happen? The next one I read was To Kill a Kingdom by Alexandra Christo, and this one is, I guess, kinda a Little Mermaid retelling, but I don't know if we're actually calling it that. It follows Lyra, who is actually a siren, not a mermaid, because in this world mermaids are kind of stupid, and she kills a prince every single year on her birthday, and when she kills them she becomes more powerful, and she's known as like the prince killer. We also follow Prince Elian, who is the siren killer, and he's been hunting down sirens to keep humans safe for like years, and goes out to sail to be a pirate, woohoo, because he doesn't like being a prince. So it's told from these 2 perspectives, and I kind of like mix up their perspectives sometimes because the voices were very similar, oops. But also Lyra, her mother does not like her, and like, I don't know, feel threatened by the fact that she would take over her throne eventually because she's the princess, is getting cursed with lice, and of course the ship that Prince Elian is on picks her up. And yeah, they're trying to find this weapon that would stop sirens once and for all, and goes out on a quest to get this. So I really liked the world in this. I think the magic and like how the siren hierarchy and like the world and everything worked was really great. The different places they go to was really great. The characters were great. They were like sassy murderous kids who like had all the sassy and winter banter between them constantly, and I really enjoyed their dialogue. I like how they were murderous kids, but it also, I felt like, came to the conclusion that like, oops, murdering is bad. I know that murdering is bad, but I also just like it when people just keep murdering. Also, I felt like it was kind of predictable in a way that when she becomes human, they don't know she's a siren. You know that they're gonna find out eventually that she's a siren, and like it's all gonna come down. Just like in Eliza and Her Monsters, they will eventually find out that she is the author of Monsters C, and like it will all come down. Yeah, consequences will come out of it. Just that any consequences in Eliza and Her Monsters, I didn't expect it to just go whoop. But yeah, here it basically went down how I expected. I'm not saying necessarily that predicting it and like knowing you get to the point of the reveal itself is bad. I just like kind of don't like the feeling of knowing it, because then you don't get the surprise. But like it doesn't make the book bad, it just makes it a bit predictable. But like it was original and fun, and I enjoyed it. I think I gave it like 4 out of 5 stars, but like I think it would be close to like 3.5. It was enjoyable and the writing was good, and I enjoyed a lot of elements of it, at least. I then listened to Becoming by Michelle Obama, which is Obama's self-biography, a non-fiction book about her life and like how she was as first lady, going up to the election of the new president of the United States. Like we basically following her from a kid and up to where she is now, and it's an amazing journey. Michelle Obama reading her book to me on the audiobook was everything. I'm so glad like I chose to listen to it. She has just the most amazing voice and is just such an icon, an amazing woman. I just felt so attached to her, felt like everything she was feeling. It's an amazing book, but also just like how she cares so much for others and does and has done so much for other people less lucky than her. I'm just amazed that a person has that much selfishness in them, because I am a kind of very selfish person. It like inspired me to like be more grateful for what I have, and also just learning a lot about, I guess, politics, and you know, always hearing another point of view of living as a black woman in the United States, or I guess anywhere, and just like all the different perspectives and thoughts she had about everything. It was an amazing book. I feel like I just love her. She is so, I was gonna say cool and graceful and amazing, and I gave the book 5 out of 5 stars, because what else could I give it? And then read Creeds of Geek by Jen Weil, and this is the second book surrounding fandoms. We follow these 3 friends that goes to this big convention called SuperCon in the United States. They are from Australia. We follow Charlie, who is actually a vlogger and also Asian, and she is quite famous on YouTube, and that's why she's there and gonna do some sign-ins and Q&As, and recently starred in this movie, which sadly has her ex-boyfriend in it because he was an asshole and cheated on her. And she also meets this other girl that she has had a crush on for a long while, and they might maybe get a thing or not, maybe. We also have Tyler, who is her best friend, and she doesn't really like crowds and a lot of people and has anxiety, and also has found out recently that she's on the autistic spectrum, so she's dealing with things like that. So it's a quite a diverse book that deals and talks about all this diversity quite a lot, and I really did enjoy all those aspects. I also enjoy, you know, just books surrounding fandoms, because I love fandoms. I have before invested a lot of energy in fandoms and fangirlness, and I am quite a big fangirl, but like I'm not as quite in the fandoms as I was anymore. Now I'm just a book person, but I guess like we are all fangirls then, because we all fangirl over books, I guess. In a way, it's very cute short book that just like has a lot of diversity, and I did really enjoy it. But since it like really wanted to like focus on all this, it has all these long speeches of like, oh, it's like this and it's like this and it's amazing and you're amazing, and like of course you are amazing, but it became a bit, I don't want to use the word, but I don't know another word for it. Like, it became a bit preachy, like, oh, it's okay that you feel like this, and let's go, and la la la, and like, find yourself and be yourself. And it was a bit intense with all that. Like, I'm not saying that the message is bad in any way, but I feel like it could have come a bit more naturally, because now it felt a bit forced to like push all this positivity. But like, it's a book needed, because like I like that it's not focused on all the negative aspects of all being Asian, being autistic, all those different things. Not that it should be anything negative about it, I just meant that people are assholes. It was good, but it was also a bit intense in those parts. I think I could have chilled a bit down or just carried it more naturally, but I wouldn't say the book is bad by any means, and I enjoyed it a lot, and I give it like 3.75 stars out of 4, I would say. Out of 5, I mean, and that is very specific, but yeah, great. And I also had like a fictional series that like meant everything for the main character, Tyler, who like find bravery in like this warrior in the series and like wanted to be brave like her, and I'm like, what's up with the random fandomness? I don't know, I love it, but it was so random. The next book I read was The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. This is the sequel to The Proper War, which I read last year, and I did enjoy it, but I also felt a bit overwhelmed by it because I had so high expectations for it. And like in the second book, all the expectations that I had, which were now a bit lower, were just met and blown away. Like, Proper War was good, okay? Like, I see it's a good book and I did enjoy it, but like I didn't love it. But The Dragon Republic, I was used to the story by now, so now whatever they gave me was fine, but like what they gave me was amazing. The reveals, the writing, the bloody goriness, like It's a very bloody and gory book. It's kind of actually awful, but like it's very enjoyable to read for some reason. Was everything. I would give the book like 5 out of 5 stars. It was so good. Again, horrific, but so good. And just like now that I knew the world and knew what I was getting into, I just enjoyed it so much. And the foundation we got in Poppy War, I appreciate it so much more now. I think if I reread the Poppy War now, I would enjoy it much more than the first time I read it. And I really love the Dragon Republic. I don't know how to describe my love apparently, but like it was everything. I just want Rin to be happy and safe, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. But I'm so excited for the 3rd book coming later this year, and hopefully, most likely, I will read it at once. And also this was another fantasy book. It was like 700 pages long. Thank you, Justine! The next book I read was The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black, which I listened to audiobook. And this one actually wasn't chosen in the video where my TBR was chosen, because I listened to too many audiobooks in this month. I just went on an audiobook rampage. This one is the 3rd and final book in the Folk of Air series. And the Cruel Prince, which is the first one in the series, follows Jude, who just tries to survive in the fairyland where she was raised by the man who killed her parents. So it's really happy. Actually, it's like fairy's beautiful, but it's also like horrible and bloody, and like Hollaback does not shy away from this. So this one is the conclusion to a trilogy, and obviously I can't talk that much about what's happening in the 3rd book, but like I don't see why people were so disappointed by this. It's very much on the likeness of the other books in the series. I still think that the 1st book is my favorite because it was so unexpected. Things went down here. Things didn't go down as expected because I didn't know how things would go, but like it wasn't as surprising and shocking as the 1st book that just like exploded. Here like you're already in chaos, so like it's not the same type of explosions, but like I love how it all wrapped together. I really like Jude's determination and craziness to do absolutely everything for what she wants, and I just find her very fierce, but also kinda not awful, but intense is the word I would use. If I met her in real life, I would be kind of scared of her. But I really enjoyed this series. I think Holly Black is a marvelous writer, writing these fairy myths and woven them all together. And yeah, it was a good book. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Be only in book 15, but I read Grey Mercy by Robin LaFerres, and this one is the 1st book in the series of His Fair Assassin. Again, another fantasy book that's over 500 pages long. I don't know why Justine did this to me. This one follows Ismael, who is being raised in this convent, and under the god of death becomes an assassin for him because she is the daughter of death. She is then, when she's older, sent out on missions to kill people, and also is sent to the high court with this lord dude named Gabriel. It's an assassin book, but it's not that much assassination happening, and that was kind of disappointing because she learns all these skills, but we never see her utilize these skills, which was kind of disappointing again. And it's a lot of politics and stuff, but it's kind of very spoon-fed to you, so it's not very exciting politics. And like, while I did, I guess, enjoy parts of it, and like the whole idea that she's the daughter of that and has these different abilities, and I want to see what was really behind who chose to die, etc. It was just like that there was this traitor going on thing, and it was just kind of meh. And also mostly it focuses on the romance between her and the lord dude she's with, so really all the focus on assassination was away, and I kind of felt it all was kind of disappointing. No, it's not the worst book ever written or anything like that. Like I said, I did enjoy parts, but it also felt very long and just focused a lot on, as I said, romance and bad politics. So I just wanted her to like actually just kick some ass and kill people, but I didn't get that. So I gave it like 3 out of 5 stars, and I kind of feel neutral to the whole book, but I will probably still pick up the rest of the series because what if it turns out to be great? I then read The Heart Forger by Rin Shupeko, and this one is the 2nd book in the Bone Witch series, and also a fantasy for over like 500 pages. This one follows T, who is a bone young witch, and she basically a necromancer, and she in the first book did, for example, resurrect her brother who was dead, and he became her companion, so they're really close. But also at the same time in the first book we see kind of the future where T is in a whole different mindset and is like resurrecting these horrible monsters to get revenge, and we don't know how she got there, but we get this story for the first book and in the second book, and we just basically everything that happens in the first book we continue in the second book. For example, in the first book we follow her being trained in her powers, but like we are beyond that now, and it is very intense and I really enjoy it. I love the different countries we get, the different characters, the magic and everything, like how it's revealed in the future and in the past at the same time. It's never confusing or anything like that, but I just love how the author chose to tell this story, and you like really curious to see how she got there, even though you know she will get there, but you don't know how, and it's just very nice. And this one also had just shit in the end that I was just like, whoa, what's even going on? It was so intense. I had such a good time with it, and like it's a really good series, and I can see why Justine also screamed at me for a while to finally pick this up, and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. And I also have the third book on my Kindle, so hopefully I will read that soon, but also like I need the physical copies because I really think the covers are really pretty, and I just like generally like to collect physical copies of the book I read, and this is another theme for another time. Continuing on, I then read Geek Her by Ashley Poston, and this is the third book focusing a lot on a fandom. We follow Ella. This is kind of like a Cinderella retelling, which is why it's called Geek Her, who lost a father, and he was like really into this, I was gonna say Star Wars type of thing, but it's not called Star Wars. It's a similar like big thing, like this science fiction TV series was really big, and now it's getting a reboot in a movie, and like the other main character Damon gets the main role, and she's kind of skeptical to him, but then they kind of accidentally start texting, but they don't know that they are each other, but they also kind of fell in love that way, and she like has an evil stepmom, but she wants to go to this event that her father created, con thing, to win this cosplay competition. There's a lot of things going on. I thought it was gonna be like very cute and would enjoy it a lot, but I kind of like didn't like Damon. He was like kind of annoying, very much complaining about his star famous status all the time, and I get like it's not easy being a star, I got that, but I just felt like we got a lot of his complaining side and not his appreciative side. And I get like it's of course it's hard to have eyes on you constantly and having to act away, and people just expect one certain thing of you all the time. Kind of just got only that side of him, and I kind of just didn't like him because of this. Ella was like okay, I didn't like really have any feelings towards her, and I didn't really like believe them falling in love. I'm not a person who's against people falling in love online, but like they just texted and then they were just like oh, and then they were like oh, and I was like oh, that was not believable enough for me. I think like the elements though of like how much fandom and stuff can mean to you is important, and just like how things you love can make yourself hold yourself together and all that is great. Again, I love fandomness, but like overall I was kind of overwhelmed of this. I thought it was going to be cute, but I just felt okay. So I gave it like 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like find it adorable and cute like I for example did with Eliza and Her Monsters, but that was not just adorable cute, it kind of broke my heart. So yeah, I then read 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. This is the first book in the Inheritance trilogy, and this is a god punk fiction. We follow Jaina, whose mother recently passed away, and the mother was actually the heir to the whole kingdom they live in, because there's a lot of kingdoms but they are being controlled in this one place, and in that one place the family that controls everything, her mother's family, they also control the gods because they went in the deal a long time ago, and they can command the gods to basically do anything they want. And her mother was actually disinherited. She like was not in line of the throne anymore, but then she died and her grandfather invites her back, and she goes there, is immediately thrown into this, I would say, I guess, competition for being the heir, but also like other politics things, and like realizing how the gods are actually living. She's thrown into this power struggle, and like I didn't know what this was about. I knew that it had gods in them, but I didn't know anything about it whatsoever, and it's so different from any fantasy I read. Like it's nothing like the whole typical fantasy-ness. It was so original and good. The secrets that comes out, the story, the gods, just everything. I can't even speak about it apparently, but it was just so good. And also it was not 500 pages long, only 398, so yay. I am like generally intimidated by adult fantasies because I feel like I always read them much slower, but this was just so easy to get into, so I appreciated that a lot. I am currently reading her other series as well, so I think like Anki Jemisin writes one of the most original fantasies I read. So now I read this one and her other series, the 5th season, and it's just like so different from like other fantasies I feel like, where you get very much similarities. I enjoyed it a lot. Apparently I don't have words, and I know that the next book in the series, I don't think it follows the same main character, but it does like have them appearing, and just follows one of the other characters that we meet in the book, and I already know like who, because it was kind of obvious in the end, and I'm so excited to see how it goes. I want the next book now. So the next two books, you can also see that Justine didn't choose them in the video, but she did choose them later because I needed more books for the month because I read more than I thought I would. So I read The Gilly Wolves by Roshni Chakshi, which I finally picked up other books by her. I love her so much. This one follows a bunch of different characters. I'm not gonna take time right now to name them all because I feel like, okay, this video is probably forever long. But basically, there are lots of different characters that are under this one dude called Severin, who is trying to get back his name for his family because there are these 4 families. There used to be these 4 families, part of this order, and like one family fell away, and then Severin was part of this other family that's now gone too, so there's only 2 families left. But he wants to get back, I was gonna say get back into business, and he is hunting down these artifacts to get his chance again to join them. And he also has different friends that have different dynamics between them. It was just written so well. I like had heard mixed things, but like I enjoyed it so much. I loved how it was set in Paris. It's an historical fiction, but it also has magic, and like we get to know these different characters, which are all different things going on with them. There's different representation with POC characters, and just like beautiful relationships and friendships and romance and loads of different dynamics. So yeah, a lot of people have been comparing it to Six of Crows, and of course I can see the similarities. Like they go on heists. There are a group of, I believe, 6, I was gonna say outcasts, but I wouldn't exactly say the outcast, like maybe like they had different reasons to be working the different missions. So I can definitely see the similarities, but it definitely stands on its own, and it's a beautiful written book. I feel like I would want even more explorations of the different themes, but we are getting sequels, so I'm very excited to see where the series would go. Like, it's a trilogy. I am so excited. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I can't wait to continue. Last book I finished in January was Infinity Sun by Adam Silvera, and this one was one of my most anticipated releases because it's Adam Silvera's fantasy debut, and it follows Emil and Brighton, who are twins, and they live in this world where there are celestials that have powers, and Brighton has always wanted powers for them, but they never gotten any. But then it turns out that maybe one of them has powers, and there's this whole fight between people with powers and people who don't use powers, and people who don't like people with powers, and there's loads of different sides to this. But I was very disappointed by this because none of the elements that the book has is explored well. I just felt like we get all these different sides, but we never like explain everything well, and I was just so confused with everything that's happening. There's this battle, there is like battles going back and forth, and I was just so confused. But even though like when I started to like get it all, it just felt very flat, and that the fantasy aspects of the story wasn't explained enough for me. We have this whole conflict with Emil like wanting to be a good guy, and I feel like even that was just like surface level of what you could go deeper into it. And there was like loads of other characters on page, and I was like, I don't even know who any of you are. I did listen to this on audiobook, so maybe I will remember more names and stuff if I read a physical copy, and I think I would try that. I still love Adam Silvera, and I think that the book had a lot of good aspects, but nothing was utilized as I wanted to. I didn't hate the book, I was just very disappointed in it, and I give it like 3 out of 5 stars. But I will continue and see. Like, the ending was a smash, but it's just not enough, so I don't know, it just didn't utilize anything that it had. That was the last book I read for January. I feel like I have done a mistake deciding to read 300 books, because then every single wrap up is gonna take 1 million literal years. That was all the books I read in January. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. You will see me soon in a video. Last wrap up from Japan. My heart is broken, but also I do miss my bookshelves a lot because I love books more than anything. Bye!